everyone, and welcome to YarnGasm. I'm Kristen, and this is episode 166. If you are a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back. And if you are a new viewer, thanks so much for checking out my podcast. I hope you enjoy it, and I'm so excited that you decided to spend a little bit of your day chatting about crafty things with me, including knitting, spinning, and hand dyeing yarn. Like I do. So it is the first day of October. So fall is here, it's in full force, and today is pretty much the very first chilly day that we've had that I can remember all year. So I'm very, it's a nice break from the sweltering heat that we've been having this summer, which has been just crazy. So what does that mean for me? I can spend more time in the kitchen dyeing yarn and not sweating like crazy. But anyway, I digress. I'm not here to talk about the weather, I'm here to talk about knitting. So, what do I have to talk about? First of all, Rybeck. Rybeck is coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks until Rybeck, you guys. I could not be more excited. Especially because Laura, my good friend Laura from Texas, you might know her as the host of the Dyer's Notebook and the dyer behind Jinx Yarns. She's coming down and we're going to spend a lot of time together, so I really can't wait. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And we are going to have a podcaster meetup. If you didn't catch the announcement last week, I will repeat myself. So yes, the Friday before, let me check my show notes because I can never remember these things. But yes, the Indie Untangled Rybeck Trunk Show is happening Friday, October 16th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. At the Best Western in Kingston, New York, which is very close to the fairgrounds where Rybeck is happening. So definitely check out the Indie Untangled website. I will post a link in the show notes. So if you're going to be around the area that Friday night, definitely stop by. I will be there with, as I mentioned, Laura from the Dyer's Notebook and Maria from the Subway Knits podcast and a couple of other friends. So very excited about that. I will have buttons. I will have mini skeins to hand out. So, stop by and it's going to be so fun. And I will talk about my Rybeck sweater in a little bit. So, but I hope all of you who are attending are plowing through or just meeting your goal to finish your Rybeck sweater. So, or shawl or hat. It doesn't have to be a Rybeck sweater. It can be any kind of garment whatsoever, as long as you get to show it off at Rybeck. That's the whole point, right? So, I don't know. I might bring a change of like a costume change, if you will. For some reason I do this every year. I bring a shawl or I bring a hat, and at some point during the fair, I always switch off between either or. I'm sure many of you do that. I'm curious, how many of you do bring a costume change when you go to Rybeck? Post in the thread, in the Ravelry thread, and let me know what you guys do. Do you bring, or do you just focus on the Rybeck sweater and that's it? Let me know. I'm curious. And I'm very hyper this morning. I got a really good sleep last night. The night before, not so much, but last night I was out like a light. So I don't know if I'm overtired or super caffeinated, but I am just a fur ball of energy today. Maybe not a fur ball, but a ball of energy. And I'm rambling. So anyway, I have other things to talk about. I guess a little update. Last weekend, I pretty much took a Knitcation. Dennis had to go upstate to help his parents with something, and I just took the weekend off. I didn't do any work. I just crafted my heart out. So it was wonderful. It was bliss. Just to not have any obligations, nowhere to be, nothing, no deadlines to meet. It was just so great to just put my feet up, watch a bunch of podcasts, drink a lot of tea, and just knit. So I have a lot to show you this week. So I guess I will get right into that. Okay, so I guess first things first, what you're all excited to know about is my Rybeck sweater. Living in my little hand-sewn, it's so blown out, but yeah, my little ball gown, retro-tastic project bag that I sewed. And let me see, I'll pull it out. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I made a huge dent in this. I'm on, blah, blah, blah. I'm already on the second sleeve, as you can see, as it's tangled. So yeah, I guess you don't want to see that side. You want to see this side. It's all variegated and knitted. And this is my hand-dyed yarn on my Halo alpaca base, which is, I believe, 60% superwash merino, 20% alpaca, superfine alpaca, and 20% nylon. A very hairy but very soft and warm fiber, and I am loving it. It's very like hairy. I don't know why it reminds me of Kurt Cobain's sweater, you know, from the lead singer from Nirvana. He always wore like this really super fluffy cardigan. It's not as fluffy as this, but it's, I don't know if you can see the halo that's happening here, but every time I look at it, it just reminds me of Kurt Cobain. Call me crazy. But anyway, yeah, and this is my Gashly Crumb colorway that I dyed up in honor of Edward Gorey, one of my favorite illustrators. So yeah, and as I mentioned, this is the Featherweight cardigan, a pattern by Hannah Fettig, very popular, and yeah, so knitting on the second sleeve. Me and Dennis binge watched The Walking Dead last night. Back when we're behind on, I think the new season just came out, but we're behind on, we're just starting the season before, so very addictive. And it's, you know, generally I'm not into like violent shows, or I do like a good horror movie, like not like in your face gory or gross, but like the tongue-in-cheek, like comedic undertones. But I cannot speak today. I like horror movies with comedy in them, like it's a comedic undertone to it, or like a tongue-in-cheek horror movies that make fun of other horror movies, or you know, ones that you know aren't like too serious. I don't know, I can't really describe it, but it took me a while to get into The Walking Dead. I think it took me until the middle of season 1 for me to really get addicted to the plot line, and that's one thing that the show does really well. While it's super gory and violent and has zombies galore in it, they do write a good storyline, so you care about the characters, you definitely want to find out what happens in the next episode, hence why we sat there for 3 hours straight watching it last night. And needless to say, I got a lot done on this sleeve. I think yesterday at the beginning of the day I was here, and then now I'm here. And I am knitting on my US 6, are these US 6? I believe, yeah, US 6 carbons, interchangeables. And I have my Day of the Dead, appropriate for Halloween, right? With the eye patch, stitch marker, and just a little flower or floral progress keeper. So, yeah, so that's where I am on that. So yes, as I mentioned, I will have a Rybeck sweater this year, and it will be amazing. So anyway, but yeah, I am hosting in conjunction with this a Countdown to Winter Featherweight KAL. So it kicked off, oh goodness, when did it kick off? I believe, the first day of fall, which was September 23rd, and the knit along is going to end December 22nd, the first day of winter. So it's a 3-month knit along to knit a featherweight cardigan. If you have never knit one, want to knit one, started one and want to finish it, it's all about the featherweight. So there's a Ravelry group, or a Ravelry thread in the YarnGasm Ravelry group for chatter and non-chatter, and there will also be giveaway prizes. I showed this off a couple of weeks ago, but I'll show it off again. Mina from the Knitting Expat podcast has generously donated one of her project bags. If you're not aware, she has an Etsy shop called Mina Makes, where she sews and sells these really adorable project bags. And she gave this one to me to give to one of you viewers for the Featherweight KAL. So how adorable is that? It's just got really fun fruit on it, a green bottom, reinforced, really well made, and then this cool orange zipper. And it's just a natural, it's just like a natural interior in there, but really fun, really well made. And I will post a link to her Etsy shop in the show notes. And if I can get that, there we go, Mina Makes. There we go. So that's very, very exciting. Thank you, Mina. And then the Cozy Knitter. This was a prize that I was supposed to give away for this summer socks the summer sock spackle, but it got to me a little too late, and I had already drawn prizes for it and closed the thread. So I decided to hold off on giving this away until the end of the Featherweight KAL. So But yes, the Cozy Knitter, and I think the tag kind of fell off, so I will have to reapply that. But the Cozy Knitter, here's her tag. Let's see that. It's a very overcast day, guys, so everything's just a little blown out, but this is her, her label, the Cozy Knitter, and this is self-striping yarn in 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. This is her Bliss base in the nautical colorway. So really fun, really cool. I love these balls, like when they're wound up like this. They're just so fun. I don't know, I love them. So yay, thank you Cozy Knitter for donating that. I cannot wait to draw prizes for this. This is gonna be a really fun spackle. I mean, KAL. So many of you are participating and posting projects already, posting photos in the thread already. So if you haven't joined in and you want to, do it, because it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I will put this away in my giveaway prize drawer. And I have some brooches from a homespun house. Molly, a while ago, she gave me a bunch of these to give away as giveaway prizes, but these will be given away as honorable mentions for the spackle. So I don't know if you can see this, and I apologize for the crinkling, but she has her teacup brooch with matching teapot and teacup earrings. And then we have another one with a sheep and a little heart booty. So really sweet. And oh my gosh, side note, but Molly of a homespun house, she has a podcast and a shop as well, has started dyeing her own yarn. And oh my gosh, you guys, she is really good. So if you haven't checked her new yarn out yet, hop on over to her shop, homespunhouse.com. I will post a link in the show notes. But her yarn is so fun and so speckly, and it's just, she's really good for, just starting to dye yarn. So definitely check it out. And I'm so proud of her. Molly, you were doing an amazing job. So yay. But yeah, I wanted to give her a little shout out because it's pretty awesome, you guys. Anyway, okay, so this is going back in my giveaway prize drawer. And then next on my needles, in my Mina, I'm dropping everything today. It's one of those days. But in my Mina Makes bag that Mina gifted to me when she came to New York, this really pretty bag, are my blueberry waffle socks. And I am knitting these out of Query Fibers in her Fairy Dust colorway. It's very minty green with purple and tweed, really pretty. And my blueberry waffle socks. So yeah, I'm making progress on it. I'm on the, I did the, it's a cuff down 1x1 ribbing, blueberry waffle stitch pattern. Then I did the fish lips kiss heel on here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. And then now I'm on the foot. I'm definitely going to give this more attention over the weekend, I think. Because I definitely want to finish this and cast on another pair of socks, because Laura is hosting a Socktober Jinx knit along, Jinx yarn knit along, where you knit a pair of socks out of Jinx yarn. And I have a hoard of Jinx yarn in my yarn fortress that I've just been coveting. And there's one skein, I think it's a Lantern Festival. It's very autumnal and more, I think it's black, but it has like orange and reds and just really pretty and glittery, obviously. So I definitely want to cast those on because it's very autumnal, if you will. And it just sounds like a really fun knit along. So I want to get these off the needle so I can cast on those. But at the same time, I'm having fun knitting these. It's not like, oh, I can't stand this anymore. But no, I love this. This is such a great pattern. It's free and everyone's knitting them. So why not you if you are looking for a new sock pattern to knit? I recommend it. That was a lot of words. Like I said, I'm highly caffeinated and very chatty today. So, but yeah, anyway. So next on the needles is, obviously I had to cast this on. I could not resist anymore, but living in my Lavender Loon bag. This was actually a gift from a viewer, Samantha, who is Lavender Loon on Ravelry. She was so awesome and showed me this really beautiful and really pretty project bag. She does not have an Etsy shop for project bags. She has other handmade items like crochet and the like, but definitely check it out. But she just was so nice and sent me this really beautiful Halloween-y project bag with dresses, Victorian dresses, and woodsy trees and ghosts and bunny rabbits with a mauve background. Yeah, it really spoke to me. It's definitely my style. So thank you so much again, Samantha, for this. But living inside, as I mentioned, I had to cast on the Quadri hat by Michelle Wong, which I mentioned and showed a photo of last week. So I went ahead and I cast it on using some Jill Draper yarn that I had in my stash. Jill Draper makes stuff in her Empire base. And here's the label. So Jill Draper makes stuff, and it is, oh, I'm sorry, Mini Empire, because their Empire skeins are like these huge sweater quantity balls of yarn. This is the Mini Empire, so there's less yardage. There's 213 yards, which is 195 meters, and it's 100% Rambouillet wool, and I love Rambouillet. But I have a couple of qualms about this project. Not the pattern. The pattern is lovely. The yarn is lovely, but I don't think this was the right yarn for the project, but I'm going to finish it because I've come so far. So yes, it is Rambouillet, but it is a very high twist yarn. It feels very squishy and I would almost say like cotton. I would have to describe it as cotton. It just has that quality to it. Okay, I think the best adjective I could apply to this is it feels very rustic. And I'm knitting the hat for Dennis. So this is going to be his new 2015 winter hat. He may get more, I don't know. But again, a very lovely pattern. I love the cabling. It's just, I had to go through several needles to finally get to a point where it was tolerable, because I started off with metal needles. I don't really stock, or I don't have that many size US 8 needles. I have them. I happen to have some. I found some, but it's not really, I had to dig for them. So the first pair that I found were 5 US 8 metal DPNs, and cast the pattern on, and my hands were taking so much abuse. Like, it was just not an enjoyable knit. So, but I was like sticking with it. I'm like, okay, just thinking back to like what Isabel from the Fluffy Fibers podcast said, she goes, it's not you, it's not the pattern, it's not, whatever you're using. It's, it could just be the tools that you're using. And if you're not using the correct tools, it can make your life a living hell. I'm paraphrasing. Isabel did not say that in word for word, but yeah, it was a living hell for me. I was just really struggling through the pattern. So I'm like thinking, okay, maybe a pair of bamboo needles would do the trick, but I could not find any bamboo needles. I don't even think I had bamboo needles. So it finally dawned on me that I had a pair of interchangeable carbuns in US size 8. So I'm like, haha, okay, that might do the trick. So I switched to those needles. And still, it was a little better, but not by much. I was still struggling, muddling through it. And so I put it aside, worked on my featherweight for a couple days. And then one day I cleaned house. My office was so cluttery. This is just my creative process, how I clean things, but then so much creativity happens that before I know it, everything's everywhere. And oh my goodness, I have to clean because I cannot function. So I cleaned house, I organized everything, and lo and behold, I came across some US size 8 bamboo circulars in the correct circumference for a hat. I'm like, yes. So, of course, I switched needles, and oh my gosh, it's not 100% better, but it's way better. But it's night and day. So, very happy that I found these lying around. But yeah, definitely makes life a little bit easier knitting this hat. And I want to cast on another hat for myself, because in different yarn. I think I'm going to go for a wool or an alpaca. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't decided yet. But I'm definitely going to be knitting another one of these hats. It would be a relatively quick pattern had I not been struggling with this so much. But couldn't recommend the pattern more. Again, it's by Michelle Wong, and she designed the hat for the Plucky Knitter. They have a really nice, lovely line of yarns too. So But yeah, so that's what happened with this pattern. And Dennis likes the hat. He felt it. He's like, yeah, this is really nice. You know, just, yeah, so he's happy with it. There will be no pom-pom. But for mine, I will have a pom-pom. Because, you know, when it's a hat, you need a pom-pom. And I need a pom-pom. I'm sorry. Or no, I'm not sorry. Anyway, I'm babbling. So yeah. And, oh, I forgot to show off the stitch markers. I felt it very appropriate to start using my One Geek to Craft Them All stitch marker. Marsha, she's a good friend of mine as well. And she does a lot of really fun stitch markers, like lots of fandom. So if you're into sci-fi, like Lord of the Rings or vampires or, Game of Thrones, she does all of that. Like she creates little themed stitch markers. And also like these really cute little earrings of little mini skeins, not like big skeins, but like little tiny mini skeins. They're amazing. Definitely check out her Etsy shop. But yeah, I had to go the vampire stitch marker route this time, and I just have a little teapot stitch progress keeper on there that I, you know, have knocking around on there. It's really fun. So yeah, that's that. I have not cast on the stonecutter sweater yet. Although I am itching to cast that on so much because it's such a beautiful pattern, but I'm holding out. Anyway, so I think that is it for what's on my needles. I'm checking my show notes. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm going to move on to a review. This is like the first time I'm doing a review in a long time. But Interweave, full disclosure, Interweave reached out to me about reviewing a new book by Romy Hill. And I could not resist because they sent me a couple photos and I was just like, first of all, I love Romy Hill as a designer. As you know, I knit one of her shawls, what was it? The Hanging Garden Stole. And I ended up gifting it to my grandmother, and then I cast on another one, but I never ended up finishing it. But it's such a beautiful shawl that, I don't know, I'm thinking about just starting from scratch and casting it on again. Side note, I digress. But anyway, full disclosure, they sent me a copy to review and share with you guys. So this is New Lace Knitting, Designs for Wide Open Spaces by Rosemary Romy Hill. So as you can see, I marked off all my favorite patterns, and yeah, so obviously when they approached me, I could not resist saying, yes, please send me a copy to review. And I was very, very excited when this came because I love just about every pattern in here. I would say I have about 6 patterns marked off on here. And sorry, my nose is super itchy. Lots of fluff flying around, or allergy season, I don't know. But anyway, sorry about that. So this is the cover. And already, like the cover model, I mean, how beautiful is this? I will be honest, I'm not too crazy about this thick neckline because it's, what do you call it? I'm totally forgetting. It's like one of those fold over edges. I know there's a name for this and I'm totally blanking on it, but anyway. So what this book, well, first of all, overall, I love this book. It's great. Everything about it. No qualms whatsoever about it. I think it's a brilliant book, so you should just go out and buy it right now if you love lace or thinking about knitting lace. It's perfect for beginners because I feel like she walks you through every single pattern in here, step by step. It's like she's holding your hand and she gives tips and even quote unquote difficult techniques. She will explain how to get the best result when making that stitch, like a noops or the like. So, but the way this book is broken down is into different kinds of lace stitch patterns. So the first chapter is waves and ripples. So you have waves and ripples, and then you have a chapter on diamonds, then you have leaves, and so on and so forth. And each one has about like 2 to 3 patterns within each chapter. I think sometimes 4. But what else did I wanted to say before I go on to that? Oh yeah, and she has a lot of helpful hints and detailed instructions. She mentions in the introduction that she is a perfectionist and very detail oriented, and it definitely shows in this book because she breaks, not only does she break every pattern down, she shows you, or there's like an introduction where she, before you begin before you begin knitting lace, she has a couple of rules, like stuff, obviously always swatch and dress your swatches, so you know how, because when you knit lace, when you're knitting the lace, it looks kind of crinkly and like yarn barf, but once you block it out, it's going to look totally different. So she definitely gets into why you should block all your swatches, even if though you're knitting a lace shawl and gauge doesn't really matter. You definitely want to wash and block it so you know the final result. And then invest in good materials, just a whole list of, things that you should keep in the back of your mind, before diving into a lace project. And then in the back, she has a really helpful glossary of stitches and how to make them, with tips, of course, like I-cords, short rows, pom-poms. There's a pom-pom tutorial in here with complete diagrams. So, and all the charts are very clearly displayed. I'm not gonna, I can't really show you the patterns because this is a paid book. So, but yeah, the charts are extremely clear and, well written, and yeah, so it's a really wonderful book. And I guess I will just go through and share with you what my favorite patterns are from here, and what my not so favorite patterns are. But first up, the Town Square Shawl, which is here. So I don't know if you can see that. So this is just a really lovely big lace triangular shawl, and I don't know if you can see right here, but she definitely, took that from her hanging garden stole, which is, yeah, as I mentioned, a really beautiful pattern. And I love how she incorporated that into just a really versatile lace knit shawl. So I could totally see myself casting that on. This one, I told Molly, Molly from A Homespun House, I saw this and I had to send her a photo of it. I was like, this is totally you. It's very campside. I know how much she enjoyed knitting the campside shawl. It's this really beautiful, just oversized lace shawl. And I believe it's DK too. Is it DK? No, it's fingering, but just like this oversized lace simple shawl. And yeah, and she was like, you are correct, Kristen. And I was looking at it, I'm like, is that Quince & Co? And yeah, it's Quince & Co. I used it to knit my Holden shawl, like I showed you last week, in the same colorway. So it's fingering weight, Quince & Co. Turn, which is 75% wool and 25% silk, in the kelp colorway. So it takes 5 skeins of that, and you can see why, because it's a blanket of a shawl. So it's really cool. And let me see what else. The winter wheat shawl, which is really lovely. It's just kind of like a little, again, just a simple lace shawl, crescent shape, I believe, that you can just chuck over your shoulder. That you can just chuck over your shoulders, and yeah, so that's pretty. And then let me see, the silver birch hat, which is just a simple beret. And then, let me see, it's probably not the best view of it, but, and that's another thing about, here you go, you can see, I don't want to show too much of the text, but that's another thing about this book is they do such a great job of styling the photos. So you see how the garment wears, and you see how it looks on its own. So there's no mystery between, like, yes, they are selling a lifestyle when they take the photos and, publish them. But they also they give you the chance to see, okay, here's what it looks like as a whole, and you can kind of put yourself in there and see, okay, I could see this working on my body figure, or here's how I would modify it. And, it gives you an idea, you're not just seeing it on the model, which I really, really like. This one is really pretty. The Crystal Bay shawl. I think this is the one, I'm going to cast this on very soon. But yeah, it has an applied border, very similar to the Vergier shawl by Fluffy Fibers, but has the Print O' the Wave pattern going on, which is knit as an applied border perpendicularly to the plain garter crescent that you knit. Just so beautiful. And again, here, I'll show you the chart. You can see the shawl on its own, like just a bunch, and they just look so, so beautiful. So yeah, and then I think there's one more pattern in here that I really, really like. Okay, I have to cast this one on because it is so Downton Abbey, and of course it's mauve and it has sparkles. So yeah, this one is just absolutely beautiful. It's called the Little City Tea, and oh my goodness, it is just, goodness, look at that. How pretty is that? Yeah, this is going on the needles very soon. I want to knit all the things now, you guys. This is not fair. So much to finish. So overall, I guess if I give it like a like 1 to 10, I give this a 10. There's literally nothing nothing bad that I have to say about this, save like a few patterns that I'm not crazy about. But everyone, what I might not like, you might love. Like there's a knitted skirt in here, which I'm not too keen on, but it's a lovely pattern. It might look way better on somebody else. I just couldn't really see myself wearing a knitted skirt. But anyway, that's besides the point. Really excellent book. Check it out. It's called New Lace Knitting, Designs for Wide Open Spaces. And it retails, let me see, at the book copy retails for $24.99 US, $27.99 Canadian, and it is available as a digital download on Interweave, I think interweaveknits.com for $17 US. So check it out, you guys. And big thanks to Interweave for contacting me and sending me a copy so I can share it with you guys. So now I'm going to move into sewing. And as you can see, I'm actually wearing what I've just sewn. This is my By Hand London dress, which is a pattern that I purchased from byhandlondon.com. You can download the pattern and piece the pattern together, like print it out and then piece the pattern out like a puzzle. It's a lot of work, but I made it happen. So, it's probably better if you actually purchase the physical pattern because all the pieces come already assembled. So, yeah, I cut out the pieces a long time ago. Maybe like a month and a half ago, and they've just been sitting on my shelf. And this past weekend, when I had all that downtime, I decided to finally sit down at my sewing machine and put it all together. And oh my gosh, I am in love with this pattern. I'm not using the fabric that I had originally intended for it. As you can see, it's this really cool florally, almost Liberty of London pattern, I would say. Very floral, very kind of muted shades. Anyway, I fell in love with it and I was like, yes, that's gonna be my Anna dress. And I have to say, this was such a really enjoyable pattern to sew. It was the first time I ever did darts and pleats. Like, I don't know if you can see it here, but I will stand up and try and show you. But the bodice right here, this is where the waist is. There are some pleats right here to create the bust shape, if you will. So without getting too into detail if there are children watching. So, but yeah, so it creates the shape of the bodice, the two pleats right here. And then the rest of it was just sew it together and piece it together and just make sure my seam allowances all matched up. I would say the most challenging part of it was putting in the, the interfacing, the little part to kind of like clean up the neckline. I still have to get down the zigzag stitch. I'm not quite there yet. And then the other thing that I did, I actually Franken-pieced this pattern together, if you will, because I did not use the pattern or the dress shape that this pattern came with. It came with two. One was short and one was longer, but I kind of wanted a more kind of like circle skirt effect. So I used the skirt shape from another pattern. The last pattern that I sewed, the Simplicity pattern, if you recall, it was more like of a circle skirt. So I was very proud of myself. I was able to combine the two patterns to create, I don't know if you can see, this kind of gathered effect right here. So it's a circle skirt. I posted a photo on Instagram. I don't know if you've seen it, but yeah, no, it has just I have to get better at gathering the waist a little bit, but I'm very pleased with the way it turned out. So, and I love the shape of the dress. As I mentioned, want to sew like 3 more in different patterns, just so I can have them to wear during the winter with some leggings and some boots. Just chuck a sweater on top, and I want to make one for Rybeck to go with my featherweight cardigan. I think that would be so cool. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And what did I want to say? And the fabric is actually by Cloud 9. What is it? Organic Morning Song Lush Lullaby Gray. So make of that what you will, if you're interested. Yeah, so, okay. I am going to skip over Ask Away this week because I feel like this episode is going on way too long and I have a lot of work that I need to do. I actually have another birthday party that I have to go to tonight. So I want to make sure that I have enough time to dye yarn and get this up to you guys before tomorrow. So I'm going to move right along into shop update stuff. So I guess I will talk about what will be in the shop tomorrow. As always, my shop updates generally occur on Fridays. Tomorrow will be October 2nd, and the shop update will be at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always. So I was hoping to bang out a whole bunch of holiday colorways this week, some more of Holly Jolly and Deck the Halls, which, don't worry, there will be some in the shop tomorrow. I'm going to be dyeing up those today, but for some reason I was on an insane autumnal kick. So, which is weird because I'm not a huge fan of autumnal colors and shades, full disclosure, but for some reason I just went there and I could not stop. So, of course, I will have some Gashly Crumb. This is on my... There's a footsie based, which is a BFL nylon blend, and I've never dyed it on my footsie base before, so this is the first. And this is Gashly Crumb on the base that I'm knitting my featherweight out of, Halo Alpaca. So that will be in the shop. I will have some. Oh goodness! Wow, lots of names. Enjoy the Silence on footsie. And if you haven't, excuse me, if you don't follow Shacked on Instagram, Shacked Spindles, and Benjamin, I can never pronounce his last name, Benjamin K. He has a podcast as well, but he works for Shacked, and he's actually weaving with Enjoy the Silence right now. And he posted it to the Shacked blog, so definitely check their blog out because it's really cool what he's doing. He's just using one of their looms to weave something with this colorway. So anyway, I thought it was really cool. Check it out. Anyway, but yeah, a really exciting collaboration that I'm doing with them, and just, yeah, fun in general. So, and then because a lot of you have been asking for some tonal colorways, I know I don't have a lot of neutral tonal colorways. And especially to go, because I know some of you purchase like crazy variegated colorways for me with speckles, and you kind of want something to contrast it if you're using 2 colorways or knitting a pattern that requires a main color and a contrasting color. It's nice to have a neutral to break up those crazy shades, right? So I'm starting to do a lot of that. I created a brown. I haven't named it yet, but it's this really lovely chocolatey brown with kind of rose undertones to it. So it's a shaded solid. But yeah, it's just a really nice, lovely brown that I dyed up. So that will be available on my Volca base. And then it's also, I dyed it on Halo as well. Do I have it on Halo? I haven't skeined it up yet, but yes. So this will be available. And then also, speaking of shaded solids, I dyed up some more Myth. So I dyed that up on Blitzed, and I also have it on, let me see, in my magic box, some Halo Alpaca as well. So yes. Then I will also have some Royal Amber. It's been a while since I've dyed this up, but it's my yellow because I don't really do yellow too well, I don't like wearing yellow as much, but I figured if I have to wear yellow, it would be this color because it's just so, it's kind of like a very vibrant, lush yellow with kind of like these green, subtle green undertones to it. And it's just so pretty. So I will have that on Blitzed. I will have it on Volca, and then I also dyed it up on some DK weight. So yeah, I'm gonna try and start having a lot more DK in for the winter, because I know a lot of you want to start knitting sweaters, and a lot of those require DK weight yarn. So I'm gonna try and get some more of that in stock. And yeah, I know I'm not taking custom orders, but please do feel free to contact me and letting me know like what colorways you would like to see in the shop, and I can definitely work to make them available as I get to them. So yeah, so as I mentioned, let me know. Email me at voolenvineyarns@gmail.com, or just, leave a comment in the Voolenvine Yarns Ravelry thread, which I hope to be posting more in there soon. It's been pretty quiet. I've just been posting some important event notices and just general shop housekeeping notes in there. But, I want to start being more active in there. And please, if you are knitting with my yarn and you finish a project, feel free to share it in there. I love seeing, I feel that is so rewarding when I get to see what you guys are making with my yarn that I dye. So it is so fun. Definitely post your photos in there. Or if you have any questions or what have you, feel free to use that thread or that group, for those purposes, or, just to say hello. So, and anyway, I do have some more. I have a new colorway out, which I'm super excited about. I was browsing Ravelry, Pinterest, looking for autumnal inspiration, because as I said, autumn's not really my, season as far as colors go. But I wanted to find some kind of palette that spoke to me autumn-wise. So I searched high and low and found this really pretty, where did I put it? It's in here somewhere. I found this really pretty photo of acorns, and I will try and insert a photo of it here so you can see what I'm talking about. But I fell in love with the shades that were all in there, and I was like, that would be such a cool skein of yarn. So I made it happen. I haven't named it yet, but here it is. It's got the oranges, it's got the purples, it's got the blues, a lot of different shades of brown, and this is on my blitzed base. So I'm thinking of naming it Foraging, or I don't know, Acorns or Acorn Hunters. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It's going to be something fun though, so stay tuned. But I have it on Blitzed, and I also have it on, where is it? I have it on DK somewhere in the abyss of yarn that is before me. So, okay, here it is on DK. And this is merino nylon cashmere, by the way. So very, very autumnal. And I could totally see myself wearing this as well. And then another colorway, which I have not dyed up in quite a while, is Moondrop. And I know a lot of you really enjoyed that colorway going back. So I went back into my dye book and pulled out the recipe and dyed up some more. So it's just this very light lavender pink with like gray and blue. It's almost very like opalescent, I would say. So yeah, that will be on Volca, and I have a couple of skeins on Halo, and I tried dyeing it on DK, but I had a little accident in the pot and it came out a little darker than I expected, so that will be going in as a misfit skein. But yeah, very excited to have this back in the shop. And I was kind of looking at these two together. I kind of like that. Looks really cool. Or even, sorry, I'm like pairing my yarns now. That looks really cool. Anyway, just some food for thought. So yeah, shop update tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you there. No project bags this week. There, again, not enough time. But yeah, hopefully I can squeeze in some last minute Halloween or Christmas, or, in general, holiday project themed bags. So we'll see, we shall see. But yeah, so, and of course I will have some holiday colorways tomorrow as well. Yeah, so otherwise I am going to move on to Blether. Trying to think. So yeah, otherwise, I had my Knitcation, and I'm calling it a Knitcation. I remember when I was working full time, I would take vacations, like 2 I would take off 2 days, like a Thursday and a Friday, and that would be my knitcation, just to knit and not worry about work or anything. But now it's like I'm working all the time, and if I have maybe like an hour and a half to 2 hours a day to actually sit down and knit, that's a bonus for me. But yeah, I feel like the past week, me and Dennis Dennis and I, we've just been doing so much. We had a wedding to go to, birthday parties galore, and just a lot of social interaction. I don't know if I ever told you guys, but I am an introvert, or I consider myself to be an introvert. I don't know, you probably can't tell because I'm very chatty, and I do love socializing. I really do love going to parties and hanging out with people, but before I know it, like once it's all said and done, I feel drained. Like it gets to a point where I just feel so like I need to recharge. Like I just need to kind of hole up, be quiet, have no like nothing, that I need to do, and just kind of do my thing and recharge in total silence. This is just how I work, or am. So it was just really nice to just have that time, the quiet time, just me and the cat and some podcasts, and yeah, and look how much I got done. It was amazing. So that was really nice. And then this weekend, I think I'll have a little bit more time. Dennis actually has a bike ride. He's doing a bike ride for MS, which is really awesome. He does it every year. And he just, he loves biking in general. So, he's going to be off doing his thing. And yeah, I'll be here doing my thing like I do. So that'll be nice. And what else? Oh, last Friday, I actually met Dennis after work. I went into the city, and his office was having a happy hour, and I met up with him down at, if you're not familiar with the city, Battery Park is all the way down, very close to Ground Zero, the financial district with the Raging Bull statue. He works in that area. So they opened up this really cool bar called Pier A. It was this old 1800s pier that they just gutted, renovated, and turned into a bar. It's a really cool thing. It's right on the water. You can see the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, and we just hung out, had a really fun time with his coworkers. I got to meet all of them, and it was really funny because I know Dennis tells his coworkers about what I do, like, oh, she dyes yarn for a living, she works from home, and loves knitting, and it was just really fun because they were so curious as to what I do and how I do it. And there were even two of his coworkers were wanting to know, they were expressing oh, I would love to learn how to knit, but I don't have the time. And, I maybe I just want to stick to crochet because I don't want a wrist injury. So all the excuses you could think of. And I didn't know how to respond to that because I felt like no matter what I would tell them, they wouldn't give in, and, no matter what. So anyway, I just kind of laughed it off. But yeah, still, it was just really great getting to meet his coworkers. And then afterwards, me and Dennis, before we headed home, we were walking by the park, and we saw all these lights in between the trees and everything. I'm like, oh, what's that? And Dennis said, oh, that's the Carousel. I was like, there's a Carousel here now? And so he goes, oh yeah, they just put that up there. It's, kind of cool. So we walked over and checked it out, and it's actually this exhibit that's going on. And I heard about it a couple of weeks ago, but I never thought to check it out. But we were there. It was nighttime, so it was all lit up. It was so pretty. And it's called the Sea Glass Carousel, and it's really, really cool. It's all these fiberglass fish that are translucent, and they have lights in them, and it's in a carousel form, so they're all around. They're giant. You can sit inside the fish, and they have bubbles, and they have really kind of trippy, kind of under the sea kind of music. And I couldn't resist. I said, Dennis, we should check it out. We should go on it. So we went on, and it was so fun. And yeah, it was a really short ride. It was only 3 minutes, but it goes around, but not in the way that a normal carousel goes around. It's kind of, if I could describe it, the teacups at Disneyland, how they turn and go around. It was kind of like that, but a little slower paced. So it was really relaxing and just really fun. So if you're in the area, definitely check it out. I think it's like $5 per ticket to get on there. But I think it all goes to, I could be wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think it goes to sea life research, and they try to educate you about the fish. I know on their Facebook page they have a lot of descriptions of all the fish that they have on the carousel. So yeah, really fun. Check it out if you're in the area. So otherwise, I think that is it for this week. So that said, have a great week, everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye.